Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Martin with iCrack.com. We're the nation's largest iPhone and iPod Touch repair company. We have hundreds of locations nationwide and also offer a mail-in service and do-it-yourself kits. Good luck and happy repairing. Today we're going to open up the brand new iPhone 4S, remove the screen, and place on our brand new iPhone 4S we have here. Today I'll be using the iPhone 4S flowchart offered by iCracked, and the tools I'll be using is your pentalobe screwdriver, Phillips head, nylon spudger, flathead, SIM tray opener, and then a Gerber pocket knife as well. So let's turn this on, hold the power button up top, and power this thing off. All right, let's take the SIM tray out. First things first. Next thing is to take the two pentalobe screws from the bottom of the phone. Just like the iPhone 4, you want to pop it up, and then it comes right off. All right, so now we've exposed the back of the phone. As you can see, it's very similar to what we've dealt with before with the iPhone 4, AT&T, and Verizon. It's similar to the Verizon. We have the vibrator still here, logic board's the same, battery's a little bit bigger, but everything looks very familiar in here, okay? So first thing we want to do is they've actually put two screws now on this battery connector. Start with the bottom screw here, and then the top one. Now they have a little protection clip right here. You want to make sure you pull that out before we go any further. All right, next step, take your nylon spudger. What we're going to do is unclip it from the upper right corner and pop that right up. Okay, now we're ready to take off the battery here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pull tab and I'm going to use a nylon spudger as well to kind of leverage it out, because sometimes there's a lot of adhesive underneath here. This one came off very easily, but sometimes it'll be a lot harder than that. Now we're ready to take off the EMF shield here. Two screws hold on our connection right there. Simply remove the EMF shield and set it aside. Take your nylon spudger and pop up that connection. It'll just peel off to the side. It's held on by adhesive. So we're going to take off the Wi-Fi connector here. Just a little cable that runs up right here to the logic board. So you can just take that, pop it up. Be gentle with this piece. It's very small and it can easily be damaged. I'll show you how to put this on correctly later. Now we're ready to unscrew these two screws which hold on the speaker enclosure at the bottom. Okay. Now you just simply take your index finger and you can pull that complete thing off. Okay, next step is to take off the EMF shield here. It's held on by 4 screws. One there, here, one just above that, and then one at the very top. The largest ones are on the left side and above. We'll start with the left one and work our way up. All right, now we can just take off that EMF shield with our nylon spudger. Take it from the corner. It's held on with a clip right here. So normally you can pry underneath it and unhinge that clip. There we go. Okay, next step is to unscrew this little screw that holds on this protection clip. We're going to take off that little protection shield right here. Just lift it up. There we go. Now we're going to be removing these 6 cable connectors that hold on primarily all of our vibrators, our cameras, the power buttons, headphone jacks, home buttons, LCDs, and digitizers. You can just grab them, pop them right up. This one will take the camera right off. Set it aside. Here's our digitizer, our LCD, and the final one is right here. There we go. So we've released all the connectors from the logic board. We're about ready to take off the logic board. We simply need to remove the 5 screws that hold the logic board in place. So we have a flathead screw right here, then a Phillips, another Phillips here, our final flathead, and then one more Phillips up in this corner here. Let's start with the 2 flathead screws. Now this Phillips head up here will be covered with plastic. You could simply remove that plastic and expose the screw before we remove it. Now we'll go to the mid plate and the final one in the corner. Okay, now there's also a grounding clip right there. We're going to take that gold grounding clip with our nylon spudger, remove it, and set it aside. All right, so now we're ready to remove the logic board. All we need to do is take it from this bottom half here, lift it up from the bottom, make sure these connections are out of the way so it comes out smooth, and pull it out like so. Okay? 10 more screws before we can remove the screen. We're going to start with the ones in the corners, and then we'll also do the larger washers on the sides here. Now we can start by taking off these washers. There's 3 on the right side. We'll start here. Our technique is to just unloosen these as much as possible without them falling off. It saves you a lot of time rather than having to re-screw on all these washers with these large screws. So just a simple twist of each one should do the trick. And then we'll do the same on this other side too. So now on the very bottom screw, there's the vibrator. We'll want to just take that off with our nylon spudger. So we'll take that off, set it aside, we'll be putting that back on. And now we've exposed that final screw. Now everything's taken off our iPhone 4S. Now we can remove the screen here very easily. So what you want to do is take your Gerber pocket knife here, and you want to get underneath the screen in the mid frame. So once you can get underneath the screen, you'll be able to start working your way around the phone and removing the adhesive from the screen in the mid frame. Now be careful when you're ripping it off. These are little cable connectors are run through the mid frame, so you want to be gentle when you're working your way through, and then it'll come right off. So we can just set this aside. The first thing we need to do is take that home button and place it on our new screen. So we'll remove the home button. Simply take my finger here, push back, and it should peel right off. All right, and this is what we'll be adding to our new screen. Like so. And push all the plastic on sides to make sure it's all stuck in there correctly. And we're ready to go. Okay. Sometimes you'll have plastic behind this LCD here. You'd simply peel it off. In this case, we've already peeled it off. So we can take these connections here. I'll put my index finger on them. We're going to be running them through the mid frame again. So I'll simply slide those through. And the thing to keep in mind here is when you're pulling, do not pull too hard at all. It's simply to guide the connections all the way through. You want it to look just like that, where the digitizer is just as long as the LCD once you've ran it all the way through. Okay? Alright, so now that it's through, I'm simply checking these little teeth on the side to make sure that they're inside and inserted on the washer correctly. I'm doing the same for the other side. Now that we have that installed, we simply fasten the washers again with a couple twists. All right, now we're going to install the screws on the 4 corners again. Okay, so now that we have our screen securely fastened with the 10 screws, we can just install our vibrator once again. Okay, everything runs parallel. The connection here is parallel with the frame here. That's exactly how we want it. All right, we're good on that. Now we can install the logic board back on the mid frame. So what I do is I'll prep a little bit first. I'll bend these connections a little bit by holding down, and then also pull these connections aside. We want to make sure that we're able to just slide that logic board right in. So I take it from the bottom half of the logic board, and I'll just drop it down from the top half first. Okay. So now that it's set in place, let's start putting our screws back on. We'll start with our flathead screw in the upper right corner. And I'll take our other flathead screw and install that to the bottom right. All right, now we'll be adding on our final 3 Phillips head screws. Start with our middle Phillips head, our bottom left Phillips head. And before we put on the last one, we're going to put on that gold grounding clip once again. Simply take your nylon spudger, it'll help slide it into place. Put it right over the ring there. We're in. Okay, final Phillips head to secure the logic board. So now we're going to start inserting all these connections back onto the logic board. What you want to do is when you push it down, make sure you hear a click. You'll be able to feel it too when it pops right into place. So we'll get all of these connections first, and then we'll put on our 8 megapixel camera. Perfect. Okay, now install that 8 megapixel. All right, so we're almost there. We have one more, just this little clip here. How I do it is I'll use a nylon spudger when I'm doing it, or actually a flathead works great too. So you want to make sure that this connection goes right on top of that ring, as you can see. So I just use a flathead to be able to see better. It's better than using your finger and you can't really see where you're clicking. So I'll use a flathead, drop it down, make sure it's right on line, and then wait to hear that click. Next step, let's put the speaker enclosure back on to the midframe. There's about 4 clips right here that you can see. We're going to put that side down in first, like so. So it's sitting up over here, and then we'll just drop it down. Okay, so those clips are secured in there. We have our screw on the left side. We'll screw in real quick so it fastens into place. You also want to install this plastic triangle that we're going to put right over that left side of this, where we install that screw. Install this screw on the left side of the speaker enclosure. Now we want to run that cable for the Wi-Fi connection back up into the logic board right there. Okay, so the cable, it just runs around the screw and then fits snug right on that little wire there. So it's going to connect right here on that circular point of the logic board. Okay, and then I'm going to set it in place with my flathead screwdriver. Make sure it's right on line. And then drop that right down on that circular enclosure. Now we can reinstall this connection. Simply click right in. And almost everything's done. We just have to install our EMF shields once again and some other protection clips. So let's do this EMF shield first. Place this in bottom first. Then I'd start from the left side. I'll do the 2 middle screws here. And the final screw goes in the very top of the phone. Now let's put on our metal protector. We're going to take it from the right side. There's these teeth. We're just going to drop that down right over our flathead screw. Now just fasten it with your little screw here. We have one last EMF shield here that we'll install just over this connection. Okay, and the final thing is to install our battery here. Now how you want to do it is take it from this left side and drop that side in first. Okay. And then just clip it right in. Next step, before you put in those final 2 screws, we're going to put on that little protection shield here we had shown you before. So I'm going to take it and slide it in underneath where that Wi-Fi connection cable is. And now we simply apply our final 2 screws and we're home free. Okay, throw in your SIM tray with your SIM card, and then we'll just install the rear glass. And then so I set it up in place here, and then you just simply drop it, slide it right down. Okay, then we install the 2 pentalobe screws, and then we're there. All right, now power on your iPhone 4S just by holding the power button, and there you have it. This is the iPhone 4S screen replacement by iCracked. Feel free to visit us on our site at iCracked.com for any repair manuals, flowcharts, and parts.